What's going on, folks? Today we are talking about propagating rosemary. Generally, it's best to use a green cutting like this for your when you're trying to propagate. If you try to use something woodier, say like this rosemary that has a really thick woody stem, it's possible you could root it. Uh, you know, it's definitely not as likely to root as something like this. I mean, with these I didn't lose any cuttings, so there was a 100% success rate with these, and they're looking great. They've doubled in size in the last few months. I took the cuttings back in March, and it's now mid-June and looking good. I'm going to leave them in this pot for the summer, but I put them in something smaller to bring them indoors for the winter. Cuttings are the normal method to propagate rosemary. It's actually really hard to find rosemary seeds. As I understand it, the germination rate's not that high, and it just propagates a lot easier from cuttings. So that's the way to go. If you want to see how I did it, keep watching. All right, here we go. So what we're going to do today is propagate some rosemary. I've got a rosemary here. It's kind of like a pre-bonsai type of rosemary. It's a cascading type rosemary. It's what I've got now to take cuttings off of, so that's what I'm going to use. I think we can get about 6 cuttings off of this thing. I am just going to get started. I'm going to take some cuttings, then we're going to prep those cuttings. We're going to fill this peat tray with some soil mix. I'm going to try 2 different soil mixes, a seed mix with some sand, and I'm going to try like a bonsai soil with that as well. So we'll do a little bit of experiment and we'll see how that turns out. So I'm going to cut right here to start with. Hopefully you can see this. Here, that's all part of that. Okay. I'm going to cut this back a little bit. I'm going to use a lot of these on dinner tonight, actually, so. Alright, this is a tough one to call here. I'm gonna go take this one off. Okay, so I think that's where we're gonna stay with this for now. We're gonna leave it as a cascading style. I'll probably, so this pot only has dirt down to about here. The rest of it's filled with like 2-inch stone, and that's so it doesn't grow a huge root ball. So I might repot this. I actually bought this at a nursery at the end of the year last year, and it was like $1 or something like that. It was at the end of fall. It was mushed in with under a bunch of other herbs, and it kind of gave it this cascading style. So it was on sale, and I thought, you know what, let's try it and see what happens. So that's where we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna leave it there for now, but we are gonna try and propagate these cuttings. I'm gonna try and get 6 out of here. So let's see what we got. We got 1, 2, See, those are probably not worth it. That's probably not worth it. We got 2, 3, 4, 5. Gosh, I really don't have much here. Let's say we got one. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. 4. 5 and 6. Alright, so what we're going to do is I have this peat pot and we're going to try and propagate these in here. So I'm going to take these little pebbles and block up the drainage holes with these because I don't want all of my soil running out here. There we go. There we go. That one wasn't quite big enough. Alright, so now we got a pebble in each one of those drainage holes, and that'll let it drain still, but, you know, it won't let all this soil mix, because this is a fine seed starting soil mix that I have here. So what I'm going to do is take off like the bottom inch of leaves off of each of these cuttings, and that's what's going to go down in the seed starting mix. There's 2. There's a little too much green left on this one. I mean, there's just no roots to support all this, so I'm going to cut it down. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. And there are 6. And now all of this is basically going to go in the fridge. I'm going to use it for cooking over the next week. You know, we'll keep it in the fridge. It'll keep for a while, and you know, why not use it? And it's better than buying. It's absolutely fresh. It's going to be delicious. So let's do it. So the first soil mix that I'm going to do is it's the fines of turfus and perlite 50-50 mix. It's actually more, probably like 75% turfus, just because that's how there's less perlite on that bag that I have that gets sifted out. So this is about 75% turfus and maybe 25% perlite. So that's all there's in there. So what I'm going to do is do half with the turfus and perlite, and then I'm going to also do half with a seed starting mix, which is like a potting soil with sand and perlite that's added. So it's like a cactus mix with a little sand mixed in. Essentially just a cactus mix. So I will start here with Alright, so there we've got our fines mixed in there. And now we'll get the potting soil mixed in there. So this is essentially a sandy loam mix. It's a potting soil. I mixed in a little bit of turfus and a little bit of sand. I call it a sandy loam. Even though sandy loam probably indicates more like compost and sand, like you'd see in northern Michigan maybe, for example. But looks like we've got it. You know, I'm feeling really good about that turfus mix. I feel like that's going to be a winner. All right. Alright, there we go. So we got one half. That the half closest to you is the bonsai fines, and then the half closest to me is the potting soil cactus mix, you could call it. We'll call it a seed starting mix. So we're gonna go from there. We got our rosemary cuttings ready to go. Let's see, let's lay these out so we can kind of get some of the big ones in both. Yeah, all right. So these ones are a little bit younger. That one's kind of got the woody stem. So on these woody stems, let's shred it a little bit, you know, get that bark layer off there. So you just like to get down to that cambium layer, pull some of that bark off there. I've heard it makes it easier to root. Is it necessary? Probably not. Will it improve results? Maybe. So maybe that can be an experiment in the future. So next I am going to create a little bit of a divot here. So I am going to use some rooting hormone on these, and is it necessary? No. Does it improve the results? Probably. So I'm going to give it a try. I feel like might as well give us a better chance here. So I'm going to wet this, wet the stem that's going in the dirt. Cut it off there at an angle. And get it down in there. And then we'll do the same on the rest of these. Move this a little bit so you can see it. Alright, so there's the turfus. Next, we're going to be planting in the potting soil mix. This is a little younger than I'd like. I don't know. We'll see how these do. I think I've heard you need to go with the woody kind of cuttings to have them work. So let's just see what happens. So now we'll have this video that we can look back on and say, oh, maybe you don't need to have that. We'll see. So here we are, the last cutting going in the dirt. Make a little indentation, give it a spot, and there we go. All right, so now we've got everything planted. I guess you can kind of see it there. We're going to get it wet. We're going to put it in the propagation tub. Some people will put these in like a plastic bag. I'm going to put them in like a tote. I call it a propagation tub because it sounds fancy. But anyway, we've got all these cuttings. That's going to be part of dinner tonight. And we'll go ahead and get these in there. And maybe we'll have some more cuttings because it's going to be all that's in this propagation tub at this point. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So I'm just gonna mist these a little bit just so they're a little watered down before I go at them with the watering can. I don't want to blow them out here. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. I love the way that turfus looks when the water hits it. Looks like it's... Oh. All right. Beautiful. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So, I think that's all we need. So, we don't have any other cuttings at this point, so we're just going to put them in this tub. This is going to replace the plastic bag, so this is going to keep them humid, in a humid environment, I should say. So we'll just place them down in here. I'm going to put the lid on. The lid has like a little foam around the ridge, so it keeps it nice and humid in there. And we're done. That's where they will be until they can go out on the porch this summer. Here is an update on the rosemary cuttings. They're looking great, really deep green. This one is a little bit wilty looking. I think it's because I left so much foliage on there and there's no root system to support all that foliage. However, I could be wrong because it does look like there's some couple new little sprouts of leaves. Here also there's some new leaves coming in. I think on here looks like there's a little bit of new growth. So the cuttings are looking great, and it's April 5th, and I'm going to keep them here in the tub for a while longer, just until I'm sure they've got some nice roots on them and they can go out on the balcony. Alright, here we are back on the porch, and we've got our rosemary cuttings. Today is April 24th, I think, something like that. And I am going to take these out of the tub. I think they're done in the tub for now. I am going to set this phone down, and here we go. Got them out of here. Oh. So, let's see. They're looking really healthy. I'm not seeing any roots coming through. Oh, it looks like we got a root coming through here. Yeah. So I am done with these guys in the tub. Seems like they're all pretty well rooted. And as you can see in here, there are some roots, so looks like they're all pretty well rooted. So I am gonna repot these here. I need this propagation tub for a different project, and I think these are pretty well established. So these guys are done. I'm not gonna leave them out here in full sun. I think they dry out too quick in these little peat pots. So I'm gonna take them in, put them in a bright window, and once I repot them, then we'll leave them out here. It's still getting down into the high 30s at night, so probably don't want to leave them out yet, just anyway. But yeah, looking good. They all took. I guess once I repot them, we'll know which was better, the inert media or the potting soil. So we will find out. I'll let you know. Alright, so here we've got our rosemary cuttings. They're looking pretty good. I am going to take them out of these peat pots and plant them in this large green pot that you see back here. I'm going to put them in there for the summer, put them out on the porch with the rest of the herbs. My intent for these is actually possibly just to grow a thick trunk on them and maybe use them for bonsai in the future. But what we'll do is take these out, check, see if one did better than the other in the different media that we use, the different grow media. The turfus versus the potting soil with perlite. They're all looking pretty good. This one's actually even went to flower, which is kind of neat. But they all smell really good. They're looking really healthy. And had really good success with these. Alright, here we are. Let's take a look at this one first. What do we have? So not a ton of roots. Actually, a pretty good amount. Unfortunately, that medium did not stick together as well as I was hoping. Just sort of crumbled apart. Hopefully this thing makes it. I think for the rest of these, I might leave, at least the ones with the turfus, I might leave them in the peat. I'm expecting this potting soil to hold together quite a bit better. Yeah, a little bit better. So I am just planting these here in this pot. Has just some potting soil, perlite, and compost. Okay, I am going to leave the majority of the peat on this one, so it doesn't fall away like it did with that last guy. And I am just gonna pop it right in here. And then backfill it a little bit. These. So there we are. It's about as good as it gets. And I will put that out on the porch. And hopefully these guys will make it. So it didn't seem to matter whether I used the bonsai fines or the sandy potting mix to try and root these. They both rooted equally as well and as vigorously. All the cuttings lived. So, you know, I think that you could pot them in pretty much anything and have them do pretty well. You know, with that being said, I did prune these a couple of weeks ago, and I just stuck some of the pruned pieces off, left them in full sun, made sure they had water, and they still seem to be living. So as you can see, rosemary roots pretty easily, so go out and get yourself some cuttings and give it a try.